Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ryan with From Corners Unknown. I hope you're all doing well. Just a couple weeks ago, I had the pleasure of speaking with Mark of Hacksaw. I'm sure many of you folks know who this is by now. I've been distributing his cassette for his latest EP, Raw Fucking Gore, and I thought this conversation would be a nice way to kind of flesh out the person behind the project and explore Mark's love for schlocky horror films and why he likes to incorporate this into his visceral style of gore grind grindcore and how he's venturing into new territory with old school death metal. I don't think I need to give too much more of an introduction here, as I've been kind of blasting his name and describing some of his music in more detail around the website, but I sincerely hope you folks enjoy this conversation between himself and I. We talk at length about his love for horror movies, and we also get a bit deeper into how he's now making this project a full project with other musicians, and how he's hoping to take this into a live setting in the near future. As always, thank you so much for your continued support, and thank you for any and all support you can give Hacksaw.
Welcome, kiddies, to another edition of Creep Show. It's amazing that you boars and ghouls keep coming back for more. You must be gluttons for punishment, eh? Well, I guess you bloodsuckers enjoy being repulsed, eh? You're loyal to the gore. Well, that's good. We don't want any dead wood in our fraternity of fright fans. That just happens to be the subject of our first nauseating novella, a nasty little bone cracker titled Hold the Chief Woodenhead.
The second album I started at the same time as the first album.
This is is this your EP and then compared to Necrostalgia?
Yeah, Raw Fucking Gore. I'll just call it RFG or something.
Sure.
When Gore Soaked Abattoir, I was working on it as a joke, again, as all my albums were at the time.
Right.
If you look closely, the name on the album art isn't Gore Soaked Abattoir, it's Blood Soaked Abattoir.
Okay.
And this is how little of a shit I was given at the time. I was working on it and I thought, when I was uploading it, I was like, don't let the album name, I'll change it. And the text, no one will notice, it's distorted enough anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, that's pretty cool. So, released it, and it got way more attention than I ever could have guessed.
Really?
And there were people, like, my YouTube guy uploaded it, and it got like 2,000 views. And I was like, you're fucking kidding me, man. I came home one day after listening. I used to work in a hotel, and because I worked in maintenance, I was allowed to have my earphones in, listen to music all day.
Right.
So I was listening to Repulsion.
Right, yeah.
Repulsion's album, the one they made. And I was listening to it, and I was like, man, this is heavy as fuck. It's fast. The songs are like a minute long. There's barely any solos. It just sounds like a riot, but a good riot.
Right.
And I was like, I sort of write grindcore music to begin with, because I don't have the time or the effort to put into like big orchestral pieces or anything like that.
Right.
So
Just kind of a quick and dirty approach.
Yeah, quick and dirty. I'll have 3 riffs, mash them together, put a drum beat to it, song.
Right.
So I thought, this genre suits my style of writing. I'll make an EP and see what comes of it. And it got such a big response compared to what I thought. So I was like, do I start working on an album, or do I do 4 more songs and glue it onto the end of it? And I was like, I'll do 4 songs and glue it onto the end of it. And that's what Necrostalgia turned out to be. It was a mixture. It was the EP that I first released, and I think the new songs there were... I can't remember what the new songs were called. It was Outpost 31, which is the only instrumental I did.
Right.
It wasn't meant to be an instrumental. I was supposed to add lyrics, but I got to the time and I blew my voice out doing the other song.
Oh, shoot.
And I was like, I'll just leave that one an instrumental. It's long, it's hard, I can't write words for it.
Yeah.
But, and actually I'll look it up so I can get you the new song names. Cat in the Brain was one. NPCs was another. That was the first song on the album, is actually the last song I wrote.
Okay.
Which is why it's, in terms of like songwriting, it actually has the most variety, I think. There's sort of a solo guitar, there's lead parts on the guitar, which none of the other songs have. But NPCs, The Mutilator, Cat in the Brain, Ferox, and Outpost 31 were the new songs that I added, and the rest are all from the original EP.
Okay.
And I actually switched to guitar between the two.
Okay.
Like, I used you know how like everybody's first guitar, if they're a metal guitar guy, is an Ibanez?
Right, yeah, of course.
I had an Ibanez Geo, which my sister got me for my Christmas one year, and I wouldn't have gotten anywhere with the fucking metal shit if she didn't get me it.
Sure.
And so I wrote the EP with that, because it's a genuinely good guitar for how cheap it is, and it sounds pretty good. But in between that, I released the EP, and I got a Gibson SG. You know, the Tony Iommi looking guitar.
Right, yeah.
I got one of them, and I recorded the new songs with it. So when you actually listen to it, there is a noticeable difference in the guitar tone, which annoyed the fuck out of me at first. And I was like, I'll go over the old songs and re-record them with a new guitar. And I was like, no, I don't want to, because I like the old guitar tone, but I like the new guitar tone at the same time.
Right.
Then I thought, I'll go over the new songs with the old guitar and try it again. But at the time, I was so skint that I didn't have money for new guitar strings.
Oh, okay. I see.
So I thought, fuck it, I'll leave the old guitar, I'll just let it release it as is.
Right.
At the time, again, I was thinking, nobody's going to give you a shit. It's just going to go out. It's going to be something that I've done. It'll be good.
Yeah.
And I released it, and it got like 5k streams or something like that.
This is your this is the
Necrostalgia, the first full length.
Yeah.
It got a bunch of streams, people bought it, and I was like, yo, money, what the fuck? And I was like, man, that is so cool. That is cool as shit. I got money for this. And there were people that were emailing me, and I met you from it as well for the Relation album.
Right.
But so it blew up into anything bigger than I could have imagined. And with the money from it, I was like, man, I can buy stuff with this for the next album. So I bought new guitar strings, and
oh, nice. Okay.
that was a big leap for me. But I started working on the new album pretty much instantly, I think.
Just right after Necrostalgia dropped.
Yeah,
and that came out in October of last year?
October last year.
Okay.
And the new album was supposed to be out in December.
Right.
Because I was like, I'll keep up with the momentum. We'll release another style of album really quickly.
Sure.
Which was going to be what it is now, Raw Fucking Gore. I had that title in the pipe work for months. And yeah, about starting working on the new album. So I started work on it instantly. And at this time, I'd started listening to a lot more like Carcass and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Autopsy, I was listening to a lot of Autopsy as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've ever listened to much Autopsy, but there's something weird about them.
A little bit. I mean, I remember listening to one of their first or one of their early albums, and I was just surprised at how, muddy and disgusting the guitar tone is, and that really stuck with me.
Because I think it was Twisted Mass of Burnt Decay I heard, and I was like, man, every song on this is so fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I really dug that, because they released the first song on it is it's so heavy and so fast and brutal. Right. And then the next song's got this pure groove to it, and I was like, I want that. I need that. I need to just... Because the first album that I made, Necrostalgia, is really just start to finish speed.
Yeah, and that was something... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine, on you go. I'm rambling at this point.
No, you're fine. That was one thing that I was going to ask about, because I found that quite interesting when... I listened to Necrostalgia a few times yesterday, and then comparing that to RFG, you definitely seem to incorporate more like old school death metal, or kind of like death metal elements, and it kind of has more of like a rhythm, and almost has like a catchiness, a groove to it in certain parts. And you even recommended me that one band, Impetigo, and I listened to them a lot, and I heard some of those catchy bits, and I was like, oh, this is just reminding me of it, but it's still paying homage to like those, those gorefests, or kind of like those schlocky films. And is that kind of sound something you think you're gonna continue to go forward with? Or
I'm thinking that's exactly what I was thinking of going for. About I started working on it instantly, and a lot of the bands that I was listening to at the time, I really got into like Swedish old school death metal at the time, like Entombed, stuff like that.
Yeah, I love
it. And I listened to less gore grind and a lot more death metal. And I sort of like the residue of the gore grind, because I wrote 8 songs off the bat for Raw Fucking Gore. I had 8 songs written, and so I started working on them, and they were 1-to-1 the same as the first album. I felt really quick. Some of them they stayed a bit more up to date. Like I'd added more lead pieces, the vocals sounded better.
Right.
But around December hit when I was going to drop the album, and I thought, nah, it's shit. In my head, I just listened to it over and over again when it's a piece of shit.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I was looking at it, I was reading it over and over and over again, thinking, do I want to try and update this style, or do I want to keep going for it? So when you came forward with the compilation album, you were asking for a song for it.
Right.
I was looking through all the songs I had written, and all of them, well, not all of them, I'll get into detail on this in a minute, but most of them had elements that I carried over to the full album.
Okay.
And Totem of Scalps is the only song that remained unchanged.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Wrote it. It was the last song that I wrote out of the original album. Out of the original version of Raw Fucking Gore. So it had the solo, it had slow bits. It was a much slower song.
Right. It kind of had like that sludginess to it too. Yeah.
The riff had a certain groove to it. There was a lot of scale climbing in the riff.
Definitely.
And you asked what would I think would be the best song for the album. So I looked at 2 or 3 songs and thought, this is the best one I've written out of all of them.
Sure, yeah.
I felt. So I sent it over to you, and you released it on the compilation album.
Right.
In my head, I was like, shit, I can't release the album with that song that I finished and refined to a T, and all the other songs aren't up to snuff.
Yeah.
So I literally went to the project file, highlighted top of my scalps, put it into a new mix that I was doing, and deleted the original. Because I was like, I don't want the original round. The ideas that I had for it are still in my head.
Sure.
So I can keep them going. I don't need to keep sitting listening to the old songs, because I'll not change them if I do.
Right.
So I started working on them again from this time without any of the similar styles from the original album. Mm-hmm. So with the drums, I didn't want them to be as sort of overbearing as they were in the original.
Right, yeah. No,
because the drums in the original were very programmed sounding. They were very...
Yeah, they're a little clicky, maybe. Is that right? Yeah.
They were very digital. Yeah. So I felt... I was listening to a ton of Impetigo, and if you listen to the drums on that, it's like a fucking blues drummer walked into a death metal gig and just was like, I'm doing my own thing during this. That's just what's happening here.
Right.
So I would use the basic drums that were on Necrostalgia to write the song. Okay. And then I'd go back in and edit the drums from start to finish to suit it more.
Oh, okay.
Which is why I think on Intravenous Maggots.
Yeah.
I love that song name. There's a lot of like really rapid drum fills in it.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Each of them I edited by hand. All the drum fills, I went through and dragged the MIDI notes around, like, okay, do this.
Right.
I'll add a snare roll here and all that to make it sound more human, so it wasn't the same fill over and over again.
Right, that makes sense.
And then with the bass guitar, I listened to a lot of Autopsy's first album, where the bass guitar on it was louder than the guitar, and I was like, shit, I'll do that. I'll put a fucking rat pedal on a bass guitar and crank it.
Right.
And I don't know if you know, on the first song, when the bass guitar kicks in, it's infinitely louder than the actual main guitar.
Yeah, definitely.
So I carried that over from it. And then the actual guitars, I just listened to so much Swedish death metal. And I was like, I need the HM2. I don't know if you've ever listened to Rotten Sound.
Oh, yeah. I love those
I listened to their guitars, and I was like, fucking hell, man, that is insane.
Yeah, just like pure buzzsawing.
Just painful on the ears if you don't know it. You need to, I found out, I thought that, because everyone says, you want to sound like Entombed, you just plug a HM2 into your guitar, that's how it sounds. Mm-hmm. So I mic'd up my guitar and I recorded it, and it was painful. And I was like, I kind of dig that, but I don't think everyone else was, and I had to sit for hours EQing it and like finding old isolated guitar tracks and tweaking it to get it to sound like that. You get a lot of the harshness away, but keep a lot of the grating beefiness.
Right, yeah.
Which is really hard to do with the HM2. Everyone says it's always like a magic pedal. In live, I think it is, but in studio, it can be a bit of a pain to get it to sound as good as a lot of those older albums.
That's interesting, because I've heard some people, laud it. I've heard some people talk a lot of shit about it, too. And I don't play instruments, I don't play guitar, so I don't really understand why. Like, if it's like a very limiting pedal in what you can do with it, I don't understand those aspects, but I've heard interesting perspectives on it.
Well, there's you know how the whole thing with HM2 is you turn everything to the right?
Yeah.
The only sound you can get out of a HM2 is a HM2 sound. Okay. Which a lot of more, I don't want to say prestigious, but a lot of more sort of versatile guitar players.
Sure.
Look at that and think, do I want to go out my way and buy this pedal for this pedal's only functioning sound?
It's like basically it's just like an on-off switch. You're basically like, okay, just buzzsaw, and that's all you can do. And there's no interesting dynamics with it, really.
There is literally no dynamics with it.
Okay, no, that's good to know. Yeah. I sound like a noob when talking about this, but it's
fine.
Good.
I love talking about this shit. But there's bands like Nails. I don't know if you've listened to it. Nails.
I like them a little, before they went the route they've been going down. But you know what I mean.
They did. Have you heard about the Glasgow gig they did?
No.
They did a gig in Glasgow, which is where I live, and me and my friend were going to go see them, but we were like, do we want to go? The crowds at them are always filled with cunts crowd killing and all that. We were do we want to be bothered with that? Like, do you want to stand and get hit in the head while listening to a band who is singing?
Get a concussion while trying to enjoy a metal show.
There's always people who are like, oh, that's just part of the hardcore scene. You take it or you leave it, and personally, I'll leave it.
Oh, so me too.
Me and my friend were like, we'll call it quits on the gig, we won't go. And my friend that did go to it messaged me the next day and was like, that was shit. And I was like, why, what happened? And he was saying they showed up, played 2 songs, Todd Jones's guitar fucked up, so he ripped his pedal off the pedal board, threw it at the crowd, said that the merch desk's over there, you can buy it in euros or whatever your fake money is, and then fucked off.
Are you serious?
They did 2 or 3 songs and then fucked off.
Oh, what an a-hole. Really? He
and
did? Really?
No one was refunded. No one was refunded.
Oh, that's such fucking shit. Oh, my God.
A guy, though, got a free HM2 clone out of it because it got thrown at him.
Oh, my God.
What was the point I was talking about with this? Yeah, the HM2 pedal. It was a pure, like, boutique, custom-made HM2 they used.
Oh, really?
And it fucked up. It broke. And then in London, the next day for the next gig, they were on Twitter asking if anyone had a HM2. Not a clone or a boutique version, just an old school Japanese generic HM2 because it works. And I always thought that like that tone is so like legendary and that pedal is so legendary that you try and go out with the barriers of it and you just can't replicate it. And so I was listening to all those bands at the time and I was like, right, that tone is the tone I need on my album. So I couldn't afford a HM2 because they're very fucking expensive pedals at this point.
Oh.
The guitarist of Entombed AD collects them.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like he has like 30 or 40 of them and not many HM2s were made. It's just a good thing they don't break that often.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought that was a quite ubiquitous pedal. Okay, that's new knowledge for me. I thought
they go...
Okay.
In the UK, they go for about 200 a piece.
Oh, geez, that's a good...
Which is quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Behringer, who make cheap clone pedals, make a clone of the Boss HM2 that sounds one-to-one the exact same as it. So, and that's £30. And I was like, I'll take that.
Yeah, sure. So, sure. No, that makes sense.
It's made of plastic and it's a piece of shit, but it sounds the exact same as it. So I got that and I used that, and it sounds as close as I could get, I think.
Yeah, and would you say it may work a little? It probably suffices at least in like the studio recording setting for yourself.
Definitely.
But if you go to a live setting, maybe it would make sense to get a more like an actual pedal. Maybe
live, it would be definitely worth it because I don't see one of these surviving a couple of gigs.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing a hardcore band like Rotten Sound and you've got people rolling over your pedal board and falling on the stage onto it. The thing's gonna fall to pieces. It's gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
So I keep that for the studio recording, and I've got a fund going for a real one for when I get Hacksaw Live going.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that. When we've been exchanging emails, it sounds like you were over the past, ever since like the beginning of 2018, it sounds like you've been kind of stitching together a live grouping of people. So how has that process been for you? Because just compared to your previous work, all the work you have on, say, your Bandcamp, that's all kind of just solo stuff, right? Yeah, you're programming everything. So how has it been kind of recruiting people, and then like how has it been meshing with the way you write songs or you approach the way, you think about constructing riffs on tracks?
Well, what we've been looking at is I've been screening bassists. I have found a bassist. He's pretty solid. Vocalists, I have a vocalist lined up. We use pitch shifted vocals anyway.
Okay.
But I was able to find a vocalist who could do proper extended death metal growls, like old school
really?
Chris, old school Chris Barnes, early Cannibal Corpse sound.
Right. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that old school stuff for sure. Yeah,
he can really ace that, and I was like, right, him. The only problem is hunting a drummer that can play that fast where I live.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing I never really thought about. If you're programming it, you can kind of up the BPMs a little more than...
Theoretically, there's no limits.
Right.
But I screened a couple of drummers with the new album, and a lot of them would listen to a song or two, be like, I could do that in my sleep, man, that's nothing. And then I showed them the third song, Frenzied Facial Mastication, that's just a blast. It's just a blast beat the entire thing, and they go, no, can't do that. So what we're looking at now is I have a couple of guys lined up that do a lot of noise bands, so they play a lot of just speed start to finish.
Okay.
So they're a potential that they might be able to play it. They're not very groove based, which might be a problem for a song or two.
Right.
But they have the speed and the power to do it. If that falls through, we're thinking we'll need to use a drum machine.
Yeah, until you can find somebody to fill that gap.
Someone who can play that fast, definitely.
Right. But how is it? Has it been a difficult process? Kind of like
definitely.
Yeah, like how does that work for you when you're like, okay, because this is you're kind of like the brain behind this whole project. You create all the sounds, and it's your
for so far from the rest of the group contributing. The writing and all that has still just been down to me mostly.
Okay.
A lot of them, the thing I've noticed is a lot of musicians don't write their own stuff that I've found. A lot of them don't focus on writing. Okay. Whereas I'm sort of in the situation where I play what I know and I know what I write. So a lot of my practice will come from I wrote a song in the new album. I wrote Hacksaw Necropsy, the first song.
Yeah.
And that has a solo at the end, and I've never played a solo before. And I thought, I need to learn to write solos, so I'll write a song with a solo in it.
Sure, yeah, just to kind of like push yourself a bit more, or make it interesting.
Like, I don't sit and read the tab for a solo of another song and play it note for note until I get it down. So I'll just write a song with a solo in it and go for it.
Okay.
Like the sort of harmonic ending to the album. It's actually the theme from Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that film, but it's on my list. I have like an infinitely long list.
It's just horror schlock. I love it. But the theme of it's pure old school synth sounding. And I thought, well, the whole album's based on horror movies, so I want an outro that isn't just a drum kick slam and then done.
Right.
I want it to be a long go out sort of thing. The guitar's fading into sound and all that. So I thought I'll learn how to play the Zombie Flesh Eaters theme and go for it.
Right.
So I didn't look up a tab because I wasn't in standard tuning. I was in drop C sharp. So I just hit notes on the guitar, like going up the strings till I was like, right, that's right. Next note, boom, 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 boom. That's right. So that's how I learn when I'm not writing stuff, which is a really slow process.
Sure.
But it works when I'm only doing little bits here and there.
Right.
So with the new artists, we have been finding that writing stuff together, it'll usually be a contribution of vocals or a contribution of a bass part that will go alongside the guitar part.
Right.
Rather than being the same thing, I'll write a riff and then they'll write around it.
Oh, okay. So like it won't be like matching your notes one for one. It'll kind of have some little intricate movements or whatever in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you listen to like a lot of stoner metal albums and the guitar's just doing a droning note and the bass guitar's just off doing its own thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot like that we've been working with.
Right.
But
no, that's
so
good.
far,
I mean,
writing new songs, it is mostly still me writing, because a lot of the bands and musicians I've worked with, they go into a recording studio or they book studio time and they sit in a big circle and write, and I've never found that I can write like that.
I see.
So I've always had to I have been able to write a few songs if I'm like sitting watching a film with a guy. Like me and the bassist sat and we watched Evil Speak.
Okay.
And he was like, a song? I said, kick ass, man. And I was like, damn right, I fucking would. So I pulled out my guitar, he pulled his bass guitar up, and we were sort of thinking of lyrics that would go with it. And I was writing a riff, and then he was playing alongside it, and I was like, should a break or a solo go here? And he was like, you've not done a breakdown that often, do like a sort of really heavy smashing breakdown? And I was like, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So it's less of writing together and more bouncing ideas off each other that we'll find.
Okay. Has that been like kind of opening up your mind a little bit, or has it kind of been like opening up the way you think about just how you write a riff per se? Like
it's opened up a lot of how I write my songs, because I always write songs that I think sound heavy to me,
right?
But not a lot of people. Not everyone thinks the same thing is heavy. Like, I've met people who have said that like Nails is the heaviest band in the world.
I would disagree with that, but...
And I'm like, mate, what are you on about? No, it's Mortician. That's just a fact. And then those people who I talk to are like, Mortician is unlistenable. What are you on about? So I need to sort of getting other people in who listen to the same type of music as me, but aren't exactly 100% into the same bands as me, has been a lot of help when it comes to and how I write.
Is it, and that's just primarily because they have like different perspectives or interests that they bring to the table. Okay.
Like a lot of the time, because one of the drummers that I was looking at, he was like, "Why'd you put horror samples in the music?" And I was like, "Because the songs are about horror movies." He was like, "Well, you don't exactly need the sample in the beginning." I was like, "Yeah, you do." He was like, "No, you don't." And I was like, how do you not need the sample, man? The sample makes it. Like, he couldn't get his head around the fact that I'd put samples at the start of the songs. He was like, what's the point? It doesn't add anything. And I was like, it does for me. And I know a lot of people who listen to these sort of bands. Like, there's people who listen to Mortician and they can't imagine Mortician without the, like, minute and a half long sample at the start of the song.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it definitely adds, like, a sort of atmosphere or ambiance to it. I mean, if it was just straight... Because then... I don't know. I'm under the impression having those samples in there that kind of creates. I mean, it kind of because when you're singing your lyrics, like you can't really understand a lick of what you're saying.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it also gives it a lot of context. You're like, okay, this is from some sort of horror movie, some obscure thing. So at least it kind of solidifies in your head.
Because in Totem of Scalps, the intro to Totem of Scalps, it talks about Old Chief Woodenhead.
Right. Yeah.
But a Native American priest. And the song's called Totem of Scalps.
Right.
So you don't need to understand the lyrics to be able to draw a sort of context that, it's about Native Indians, Americans, scalping and all that.
Right.
And Hacksaw Necropsy starts with a Texas Chainsaw Massacre sample.
Right.
Specifically the third one, which isn't that good, but Mortician used the first one, so I couldn't.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So
it sort of contextualizes that this song's about that movie.
I see. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And what I guess, kind of going back further, I haven't spoken to too many folks about this, or I guess I've never really found reason to bring it up. But what is it about, schlocky old school horror films? Where did your love for that begin, and what compelled you to kind of?
Oh, here we go.
But then also, like, further, like, what compelled you to kind of, I understand you've already mentioned how you're like, you started doing some grindcore because it's shorter songs, doesn't take as much effort to add in all these orchestral bits, et cetera, but, like, what compelled you to be like, I love horror movies, and I like, just kind of marrying those two ideas, grindcore and...
horror.
And just like why where'd your love for all those schlocky films start? Like, what really got you hooked on that stuff?
Well, when I was younger, I used to watch, the Angry Video Game Nerd on YouTube.
Yeah, of course.
I used to watch him all the time, and I was like, I was like 6, and I was like, this guy swears, he is so funny. And I'd watch him, and I loved him. And then he did something called Monster Madness, which was like 31 days of horror movies.
Yeah,
and I
love that series.
And I was like, I was already into horror movies at the time. I was, I say into horror movies. I'd watch like Jason X and being like, oh, that's a good one.
Right, yeah.
The 10th Friday the 13th movie or something like that. That was pretty. So I watched this Monster Madness, and I was like, I need to go out and get all 31 of these movies.
Wow.
And every weekend I got about £10 pocket money. And I'd go out to a shop in Britain called HMV, which charge about £10 a movie at the time.
Okay.
So I could get one movie a week, take it home and watch it. Until my sister one day was looking for a U2 album that she couldn't find in HMV because it was a really old one. So we found this record shop called Missing Records. I was about 10 at the time. and we went in, and they had a shelf of horror movies, and I say a shelf, like a floor to ceiling.
Oh, okay. It's like a
3
whole
shelves,
wall.
like,
Yeah.
all of horror movies, and I
Right.
was tiny at the time. I was looking at it like, oh my god. And I was, because the movies all said £3 on them, and I was like, these are so cheap. And then
Yeah.
there was a sign that said 4 for £10, and I was like, oh my god, I can get 4 movies out of here for the price of 1 out of
Yeah,
that
so you
shop.
could become a pack rat at like an exponential rate, pretty much, right?
So I went in every week, once a week, 4 movies out. If my gran took me, she gave me an extra tenner without telling my mum. That was great. So I'd come home with 8 movies just in a bag, and I'd come home, I'd sit, park myself in front of my telly, put them on, and marathon them for the weekend. I'd go
Wow.
out, buy some microwave popcorn, I'd stay up from the Saturday to the Sunday watching them.
Is this how you started developing some of the kind of going back to something like just not sleeping a whole lot? Did
Yeah,
this kind of
yeah.
is this like where it kind of started? Like you're just staying
Sleep
up
is
late?
for the weak.
Right.
Exactly. So I was just staying up late watching all these movies.
Yeah.
And it became to the point where I would be so tired on the Sunday morning, I'd be sticking the last film in, I wouldn't really remember what the last film
Yeah,
was
of
about.
course,
But
yeah.
it'd be in my head somewhere. So I did this for years, and it got to the point where my mum got me a shelf. I filled that out. She got me a second shelf. I filled that. She got
Jesus.
me a big TV unit with shelves all around it. I filled that out. And it got to the point where I was about 16, and my room currently has 9 shelving units
Jesus Christ.
filled with horror movies.
Well, that's a shit ton.
So it's just all the films I collected over the years. So it was like, I was always the guy that watched horror movies and was always into horror movies, and if you wanted to know a horror movie, you asked them. And in high school, I took advanced physics and advanced maths. And I looked at it and went, I'm passing one of these and I'm failing the other. That's just a fact. I'm not
Right.
getting both of these passed.
Right.
So I was like, I need maths more. I'll focus on maths. So I had a little bit of spare time on my hands still.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, what am I going to do with that spare time? So I downloaded GarageBand onto my phone
Yeah. Yeah.
and would fuck about with it, fuck about with the drums and the guitars. And I made my first album, fucking Shitehole or something like that it was called, as a joke between my friends.
How long ago
And,
was that again? Like what
About
year?
2 or 3 years.
Okay.
2015, 16,
Okay.
I think.
Okay. So not too long ago, but
And I made that, and it was all GarageBand drums, GarageBand guitars. It was recorded on an iPhone.
so it sounds like shit,
and
but it
it
kind of
sounds
has like
shit.
a. But you have to start somewhere, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's where my start was, and then me and my friends were like, how funny would it be if I learned guitar? And they were like, it wouldn't be funny at all, it'd be an actual skill you're learning. I was like, no, it'd be hilarious. If I learned guitar as a joke and made joke shit music about it, how
Right.
funny would that be? And they were like, no, you're learning something and then wasting your time with it, what you doing? And I was like, no, it's funny, I'm doing it. So my sister got a guitar back when she was younger because she loved Oasis and Blur and all that stuff.
right.
So I was like, that guitar's mine's now because you've not touched it in about 8 years. It's just mine's now. That's how it works. So I didn't know how to tune a guitar. I didn't know how to play a guitar. I just looked it up, how to do a chord, and I was like, that seems hard. And then I looked into it more, and there were people like, you can do what's called drop tuning, and you just need to do one finger. And I was like, I'll do that then. So I put my guitar into drop D and started fucking about. I didn't look at a thing on how to learn it. I was just like, right, I need one finger, I put it here and I strum down and it makes a chord, whatever that's called. Whatever
And you
that
would
means.
just wing it.
I just wing it. And then
Wow.
I found out about the recording software Reaper. I found out that you didn't need a drummer to record drums. You could do it with a program. And I was like, shit, man, that's so cool. So I would put it all together. I wouldn't do any mixing, any mastering, nothing like that. I'd just go for it. No EQ, and fuck that. EQ is for the weak. And I'd bash it out, render it, and I'd make a song, and I'd be so incredibly proud of it. But at the same time, I'd be like, it's still a joke, so it doesn't actually need to be a good song. I'm just proud that
Right.
I composed this and made it myself.
right.
And then I kept doing it over and over and over and over and over again. I was just making song after song. I did Surfing on D-Day, which was fucking I don't even know where that came from. I just thought the term surfing on D-Day was funny.
Right.
There was Bendy Straws, which was me and my friend's goal to be worse than anal cunt, and we didn't quite get there, and I'm still heartbroken about that. I have something in the pipeworks that's going to be worse, though. There's Medicate Me, which is because I really thought Jared Leto's Joker design in Suicide Squad looked shit.
Oh, yeah.
So I wrote a song about it. There was Saint Meme Man, because one of my pals, David, he was right about the memes at the time. So
right.
I wrote a song about him on one of the earlier albums with the garage band drums, and then I was like, how funny would it be if I rewrote that with actual guitar and the drums from Saint Anger? Oh. And again, my friends were like, it wouldn't be funny at all. Why are you putting all this effort into this?
Man.
And I was like, fuck it, I'm going for it. So I just kept doing it over and over. And then I wanted to make a noise album because fuck it. So I made Prudent Stabbing, which is just weird bleep bloop computer noises.
Right.
And then I made Bendy Straws 2. And then I made City of the Living Dead, which is... It's a song I made about 2 years ago that made it onto the first album.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first song I wrote that I listened to, and I was like, here, this is an actual song. this isn't... I showed it to my friends, and they were like, you didn't make that. And I was like, yeah, I did. And
really?
Like,
they didn't even believe you, huh?
They were like, you're talking shit, you didn't make that. That sounds like actual music I listened to. You're talking shit. So I was like, right, okay. I need to go on another venture before this gets too serious. So I started making Vaporwave and all that shit. Because turns out Vaporwave, quite easy to make, quite hard to make sound good.
Interesting. I don't know anything about Vaporwave. I've seen it being thrown around shit ton of times on the web, but I've never delved into it just because I don't know, I never tried. And
around this time is when my sister got me the guitar for Christmas, which I still use to this day. Like it's still as perfect as it was. That I played gigs with it. The fretboard's a bit worn away. The bridge is a wee bit clogged, which isn't really nice, but
sure, yeah.
That's the job. So I took the songs, the City of the Dead, which is based on the Lucio Fulci movie City of the Dead.
Right, yeah.
I thought, right, what do I do with this? So I wrote another. I was going to, in my head, that's when it started. You could make a side project that isn't necessarily a joke. You can put more heavier, down-tuned, slower, heavy songs on it.
Yeah.
Stuff that you're actually writing. And I was like, well, all the other songs, I can't... Because I was thinking, I could do like Nail's Power Violence, but like I'm 120 pounds and like 6 foot tall. So... I'm not going to write about how I'm going to break some cunt's face in the pit, because I'm not.
right, yeah.
So, when I'm writing lyrics, I either want to write a story or I want to write something that I'm going to do. So, when I wrote all the early music, it was stories about... It's a bunch of bullshit, but it's still stories. Like, it's stories about... we had a song about a takeaway just round the corner called Kebabish.
Mm-hmm.
About a guy that went to the takeaway, they didn't have kebab meat, and he had a mental breakdown in the takeaway. And I was like, right, I can write lyrics about that. Then there was Bendy Straws, where I sort of looked at it and thought, I'll just shout the song name for the lyrics. So the song name has to be hilarious, which is what all that album was. It was like, there's irony deader than Seth Putnam, which was the frontman of Anal Cunt.
Yeah.
There was Snort and Drain Cleaner, because bath salts are for pussies who listen to Dillinger Escape Plan. I don't think I've listened to Dillinger Escape Plan ever in my life, but it popped in my head, and I was like, I'll write a song about it. So that's how I used to write songs, and then I was like, nah, I need to do something a bit more thought-provoking, something that I actually think about if I'm going to do a side project. So I made a song called HFR, which stood for Hacksaw Fetus Removal, because it's fucking metal.
Right.
And that actually made it onto the first album as well.
This is the EP, the Blood-Soaked Abattoir?
EP and Necrostalgia.
Okay,
they both made it onto it.
Right.
So I looked at both of them. City of the Living Dead had lyrics. Hacksaw Fetus Removal didn't. So I looked at both of them and I was like, these are the only two songs I've produced back to back that are a similar style.
Right.
That are a similar tone, that are a similar sort of beat. there's something connecting them.
Yeah.
So I could put these on an album and have a connecting theme between them, because none of the rest of my albums have had a connecting theme at the time.
Sure, yeah.
There was Smeg McMuffin, which was my last Biscuit Bandit song.
My gosh.
Like, that was... I was thinking I'll go out of my way to be as just offensive as I can, and then I started it, and I was like, this is just edgy.
Right.
Fuck it, I'll pull it back. I can't be arsed being edgy anymore.
Right.
So I made that album, and my friends were like, you know, if this wasn't a joke album with stupid song names and lyrics, it'd be really good.
Right.
And I was like, in my head, I was like, yo, that's an idea. So I took the 2 songs that I'd written that I was really proud of, and I was like, I'll sit down one day, because this was when I was working, so I was working all day, every day near enough. Mm-hmm. And then my shifts got cut, and I got a few days off a week. And I was like, I've got time to write music again. Mm-hmm. So I came home, listened to the 2 songs. I'd started listening to like Repulsion and Autopsy at the time and all that. Right. And I was like, right, that's the kind of style I want to go for. So sat down, I wrote Dread and Sundown in a day, which is everyone I talk to is like, why is that your favourite song you've ever written? It's like 2 riffs, 30 seconds long, and I'm like, I know, I just love it. Like, I actually have an emotional connection to it, because that's when I went, right, that's the kind of music I want to make. So I wrote that one day. Then the next day I wrote another song, next day another song, and the full initial EP was written in about a week.
Wow, that's pretty quick.
I just wrote it out in a week, and I was like, right, I think I'm pretty proud of this. Quite proud of this.
Yeah.
How do I make an album art? Because I didn't have money at the time. So I thought I'll take a screen grab from House by the Cemetery, a screen grab from Burial Grounds. I'll composite them together so it's like zombies coming out of a house, and the house got a light on, so you can imagine there's an abattoir in the basement, there's blood everywhere. So gore-soaked abattoir, even though the album art says blood-soaked. No, it's actually blood-drenched abattoir. I just read it there. That's how much I changed
That's pretty
the
funny.
album, the EP name between making the album art and uploading it.
Right.
And because it's the same way I made all my album arts before, is I just sort of took a picture, put the name on it, put the album name on it, and went for it.
Right.
So I released it, and that got a huge response for me at the time. Like, I was used to sending it to my friends, and them going, "That's pretty funny." So I released this, sent it to my friends, and it was the same. You didn't write that reaction. Like, that's a bunch of shit. You've sent me somebody else's fucking album, or you've uploaded somebody else's album. And I was like, no, I wrote that. And my friends were like, yo, stop with the side projects and all the joke shit. Focus on this, because I'm digging it. So I sat down, new guitar, got a new guitar with the money that I made from Thingy Jiggy. Blood-soaked, gore-soaked abattoir. Mm-hmm. So I took the money, put it towards my new guitar fund, and got the SG. Yeah. And then I was thinking, do I work on another EP, or do I take the previous EP and finish a whole album with it?
Right.
And I thought I'd do that, which is why when you listen to Necrostalgia, there is some of the songs are a bit of a jump from the older songs.
Yeah, definitely.
Dread and Sundown's a minute long, about 30 seconds without the sample. And all the other songs on the album are about a minute and a half long. Mm-hmm. Or are a minute 40 long and a minute and a half if you don't count the sample. So I was already thinking how to write longer songs that kept that sort of ferocity to them. Right. So I went through that, did that, finished that album, and the response it got to me was huge. I was like, holy shit, there's like fucking 200, 300 people have downloaded this. Yeah. Tens of people have bought it. Thousands of people have listened to it. It's on Spotify, which was huge for me. I freaked out.
Oh, you got it on Spotify. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. I had no idea.
I tried to get the new album on the new EP on Spotify, but the lyrics have got so much explicit content that they don't know if it will clear. I was like, yes! I was so proud. I was like, man, never thought I'd pull that. Yeah. But so I finished the album, and then I got to work on the next album instantly, which is when I had cemented in my head, this is the style of music that I want to work around. Yeah. But when I'd finished the album, I do the lyrics last. So I was like, I need to write lyrics. What do I write them about? Because when I'd wrote Gore-Soaked Abattoir, I was just continuing on from the horror theme of the other 2 songs. Right. I was like, what do I write lyrics about? Horror. I can't just conjure up horror. I watch a lot of it, but I can't just conjure up.
Yeah. I can see how that's difficult. Like even though you watch it, like coming up with your own stuff. That's always.
Well, there's only so many times I can say blood and guts and
right
before it gets annoying.
Right.
So I was like picking out films and being like, right, I'll write a song about you. I'll write a song about you and you. And I'd take songs I'd written and be like, that beat suits that film, that beat suits that film. So I'd take it out, watch it with a pen and paper, watch the film through, take down pointers, write a sheet of lyrics and be like, right, that's that song, lyrics done, that song's lyrics done.
I see.
And then on the day when the songs are going to be... I usually record the lyrics, the voice, like a week before the album comes out.
Yeah.
Because I want to be sound with the mix, and then I'll go in with the lyrics and I'll record it in one sitting. So if you notice by the end of a lot of the albums, my voice is sounding a bit coarser than it was at the start.
Sure, yeah, it's a little more gravelly, a little more.
I'm knackered by the end of it. I've just belted it out, and because I don't have vocal technique, I just shout. Vocal techniques are pussies.
Are you thinking at any point going forward? I mean, it sounds like in general you're beginning to take this project more seriously, at least relative to your previous projects. Are you thinking of, are you trying to keep it as DIY as possible going forward, or are you thinking of maybe like trying to fine tune some of like your guitar skills or like your vocal skills at all, or are you just gonna keep going at it as you have been?
Well, I've only got a few set things for it, which is to keep the horror influence.
Right.
And to keep it lo-fi.
Sure.
Because the second it sounds like a polished, pristine, fucking heartwork sounding album, I don't want to work on it. It's not got enough raw energy for me.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
So, going forward, I am thinking maybe making it, going a bit more down the death metal line.
Sure, yeah.
Because a lot of the things, I didn't know grindcore was gore grind rather, was a genre before I made Gore Soaked Abattoir.
Oh, interesting.
Because
okay.
I try to do the traditional death growls, and I can do it for like 5 minutes and then I'm done.
Right.
So I was like, how do I do deep metal vocals when I can't? And I found gore grind and people that were like, they used pitch shifters and all these weird effects on the vocals. So I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I put that into the songs to make it easier on myself, literally.
Sure.
And on the next album, I kept solos simple to make it easier on myself.
Sure.
But going into the future, if I got a vocalist to work on the album and he could do, or she could do, death metal growls, I wouldn't be adverse to putting them into the songs.
Right.
I was also thinking of doing a bit, you know how early Carcass had the two vocals?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
One death growls, one were pitch shifted. I was thinking of putting a bit of that in.
Yeah.
If I got a lead guitarist and they were fully confident in solos and being able to shred, I'd be fully open to having longer, faster, quicker, more intricate solos in it.
Right.
So... yeah, going forward, I'm looking to tune it a lot more.
Sure.
So basically keeping it lo-fi and rotten, but getting the most well-refined lo-fi and rot I can get.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes a lot. Yeah, and I think like comparing, I mean, even just listening to RFG compared to Necrostalgia, like the production value, it still retains like a disgustingness and like a goriness to it, but I think the instruments and the mixing, it sounds a little, it just sounds more balanced. Like the drums sound a little like they sound more human, and they're not as, I don't know, like everything just sounds balanced. But to me it sounds more balanced. It sounds like a bit of an evolution or a bit of a like you took a step forward from that perspective.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Well, when I was producing the new album, like I said earlier, I had a full album that I scrapped.
Right.
And you can hear on the compilation album, you can compare the original mix I had, and then you can listen to RFG and listen to the final mix of Totem of Scalps.
Yeah.
And you've probably had to put up with a bit of it, but I change the mix like every 2 days.
Yeah, I remember
send
that.
it around and be like, "How's this sound? Right, how's this sound?"
I remember you said you sent me a hilarious we send it or a we transfer, and you sent me the file, and it was like, you're like, final drum, for fuck's sake, I'm gonna stop changing the drum mixing or whatever. And I just like laughed at how you were just like, okay, I'm done, because you were just like toiling over it for weeks, I think.
Because I had the drums sounding good, but they were too loud. And then I turned the drums down, and they didn't sound good when they were quieter. So I was like, right, I need to change the entire fucking drum mix now. So I bought a Superior Drummer 2 for like hundreds of pounds, because I was like, I'm going to use it. Might as well get it. It'll come in handy.
Right.
And then I learned how to use it. Then I did a new drum mix with it that I liked. Then I redid a new drum mix. Then I bought an expansion pack for it. Found a new drum kit that I liked, and was like, right, this is the final one. I think what I ended up using was like, if there's people that listen to this that use Superior Drummer 2, there's a preset on it called Texas Metal, which is like a really Pantera. You know Pantera's drum sound?
Sure, yeah.
It's that, and I took that Pantera drum sound, took all the processing off the kick drum, and all the processing off the snare drum, so they were still really raw sounding. Yeah. Like with no post-processing, and then I ran it through a couple of tape simulators to get it to sort of clip a bit and have a bit more harshness on some of the cymbals. So when it's a cymbal crash and the kick drum going, like the do in certain songs, it punches you in the balls, basically.
Right, yeah, definitely.
And I looked at it and thought, yep, this is the best drum sound I'm going to get. Stop changing it, Mark. Just stop.
Yeah. No, because you could probably be tinkering with it to this day, and you'd still never be happy with it. It's just better to...
I'll listen to the album or the EP sometimes, and I'm like, man, should have fucking reduced the mids on the guitar by one notch, and it'd have sounded better. And then I tell myself, no one would have noticed. Like,
right?
No one
yeah.
could tell.
Yeah, and then going forward, I mean, when you start producing or you start cobbling together the next release, you're just gonna have that knowledge, and you're probably gonna refine, and you're just gonna consistently inch toward the perfect sound you're going for,
perfection.
Right? Right.
But yeah, there's. As for Hacksaw going forward, I'm really looking forward to seeing how much I can refine it. I already have the next album art done.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, it's fucking gnarly, man. It's killer.
Is it going to be are you doing an EP or an LP?
It's a weird idea I've got going now.
Maybe,
do you know what the video nasties were in Britain?
No, I should. It sounds like that's something I should know, though. Now you have me intrigued.
You've got the horror geek me going again. In the 70s, the British Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, who no one likes, and if someone does like her, you don't like them. That's just how it works. But she passed a law whereby 72 horror films were deemed too obscene to be safe to be viewed. It was films like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Driller Killer, 3 on a Meat Hook, I believe, was in there as well. The Burning, I think, might have got it. I might be wrong there.
Wow.
Zombie Flesh Eaters got it as well. Basically, 72 films that if you were caught selling, they would be taken off of you and burned.
Wow.
They were made illegal in video stores.
So some like Fahrenheit 451 shit. Like with oh, wow. Okay.
In the 70s, in a Western civilized country, there was this level of censorship going on.
Wow.
So
that just makes it more of a hot commodity, though, in my opinion. I would just be like, oh, I want to see that way more because of the restrictions. Like, come on.
There was a documentary years ago that I saw, and it was talking about how Zombie Flesh Eaters was kind of successful in the UK, and the amount of money the movie brought in quadrupled or something like that.
Really? With that ban?
Made illegal after it was banned. Because
that's great.
People who were kind of into horror but wanted to learn more about it would see in the newspaper 72 movies banned for being too obscene, and they'd go, I need to see them.
Yeah, and then what's funny about that too is even sometimes if you have those bans, it kind of it casts like this allure on them, or kind of like this luster, and then you go see them and they may not even be nearly as bad as you think, and you're just like, oh, that's it? Like who gives a shit? And I haven't seen Zombie Flesh Eaters, but I've seen movies that were, like, I guess even like Cannibal Holocaust, like that one is pretty gnarly in some parts, but like overall I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's kind of like schlocky, it's kind, I don't know, like there are certain aspects of it that are kind of chilling and kind of repulsive, definitely, but overall I was like, yeah, it wasn't that great of a movie.
There's a problem with a lot of the video nasties that you come out of them going, what the fuck was that?
Right, yeah.
When I was younger, I wanted to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre so bad. Sure. But I was still listening to my mum at the time because I was 12. So my mum was like, no, you can't see that. You can see all these other horror movies, but you can't see Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Huh. I remember it being banned when I was younger. You're not allowed to see it. So it's something that would never have affected me otherwise. It actually came through the generations to affect me. Right. Which is another thing... probably why I love horror movies. My mum going, you can't see them. And I'm like, yeah, I can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, with the power of the internet now, you can find anything.
I went to... Oh no, wait till you hear how janky this was. I didn't even look the film up. This is what I did. I went to the DVD shop, missing the record shop, and the guy knew me by name at this point. He still does. I'm a good friend. Well, no good friend, but I know the guy who runs it. And I went in and I was like, if I ask you to give me 2 DVD cases, one's Texas Chainsaw Massacre and one's Halloween, could you put Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the Halloween case so my mum doesn't know I bought Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And he was like, I don't think I can do that, man. And I was like, please, man, come on, I need to see this movie. And he was like, alright, I'll let you. So I bought it off him, took it home. Mum was like, what film did you get? And she was like, I was like, Halloween, I'm allowed to see it, remember? She was like, why'd you buy it if you've already bought it? And I was like, shit, I did not think of that. And then she opened the case, and I was like, oh no, I'm fucked. But the guy had given me the Halloween disc as well, and just pushed it over the Texas Chainsaw disc.
Really?
And I was like, yes,
oh my god, he clutched it for you. That's amazing.
I know, man. I was like, get in. So, fucking ran upstairs, waited until my mum and dad went to sleep, waited until my sister went to sleep. I put my jumper under the door so they wouldn't hear the movie. So I was like, oh, I don't want my mum to hear all the chainsaws and all that. Right. She'll be raging. And then I watched the film, and I was like, he uses the chainsaw to kill one person? What the fuck?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's either I haven't seen the original, or it's been so long I can barely remember it. But...
the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a lot of when I watched it first when I was younger, I was annoyed because I was like, I had the initial reaction of, why was that banned?
Yeah, of course.
In my head, I was like, I've seen worse. Why is that banned? And then I sort of came to respect the fact that the film doesn't rely on gore to freak you out. The entire film itself is so different from other horror movies. Like, the first person dies like a half hour in, which is huge for slasher movies. So they're so long building, and you see people in the town that are just not right, and you see people all around, so you know that in this film no one around the cast is right. They're all a bit off. So when the killing happens and it's this pure out there outlandish cannibal family, it's believable. It's not it's a shock to the system, but at the same time you look at it and go, this fits in the universe this film's made. So it doesn't need a lot of gore or chainsaw killings to shock you.
Right.
And I watched it and I was like, it shocked me, but I was a bit underwhelmed at the time. I've realised, like, the older I've gotten, I think it's one of my favourite horror movies ever.
Right, yeah.
But after that, and I knew what I could get away with to see films that I couldn't, I found the video nasties list online. I started using the internet to find films again, but I was like, I'm not going to watch the film and download it, or I'll go out and buy it. So every week, I'd get my 4 movies, 1 out of the 4 would be a horror film in a different case, and I'd take it home, and I'd watch it, and be like, nah, wasn't a fan of that one, loved that one was great. And then I told my mum like 8 years later, and she was like, what is wrong with you? You could have just waited like 2 years and I'd have let you do it. And I was
man,
like,
that's kind of like the Young Rebellion, though, right? Or
yeah.
like you just have to watch
first
it. Then.
rebellion.
Yeah,
So-
no, I get it.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the next album. But the video nasties in Britain were a huge cultural thing for a while.
Sure.
Like there was a crime that was committed in the 80s that was blamed on video nasties and horror movies.
Oh, which one was that? Which one was that?
It was 2 boys who were like 9 and 10 killed a toddler.
Oh,
And-
shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the crime, they said the night before they watched Child's Play.
Oh,
the
so they made
Chucky
a correlation. They made like a correlation. There's like, oh, that
They
has to
didn't
be.
actually. The parents said the night before we let them watch Child's Play, and the court freaked out. That's the only thing they focused on. Not that they might have underlying mental issues. Not that there might be a home problem.
No. I mean that's kind of the exact mentality with like the video games causing violence, right? It's just
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's such an
It's the exact same
asinine
thing.
comparison. It makes no sense.
They felt that banning all these movies and blaming murders on them would get people. I don't know what they thought it would accomplish in the long run, because when the 90s came around, they just unbanned all of them. Like, I think in 1992, all 72 films were like, you can watch them now. There you go. I think
Yeah.
it was a Cannibal Holocaust. It wasn't until like 2002 that it got released.
Yeah, I know that film went through a lot of troubles, and that's specifically because of like some of the inhumane or like the way they
Yeah.
treated the
Yeah.
the animal killings were real, and I was like,
Yeah.
that like I didn't know that when I first watched it, and when I learned it was real, I was like, oh shit, I can't believe I just
Yeah.
watched that.
That's one of the cannibal films I've never been big into, because that is a common thread in all of them, is actual animal killings. Just
Yeah,
for
I'm not
shock value.
I'm not a fan.
I
of
don't
that.
agree with them at all as
No.
well.
No.
The only reason the film was banned for so long is there was a law that British cinemas couldn't show live harm to animals or real harm to animals, which is a law I kind of agree with. I'm going to be honest. It's
Yeah.
one of the few I'm quite a
Sure.
fan of.
Yeah.
And then the distributors found a loophole that was like, it says nothing about home video, and they were like, oh, you're right, it doesn't. So
Oh.
in Britain, Cannibal Holocaust can't ever be shown in cinemas ever again, but you can buy a DVD. Because I was talking about the video nasties and all the things that were banned in Britain and all that, and I feel like they have such a cultural importance and an importance to me. And I've written a bunch of songs about video nasties.
Oh, really? Okay.
Cannibal Holocaust, or Holocaust unter Kannibalen, or something like that. I think it was on the first album. Is about Cannibal Holocaust. City of the Dead, so it's City of the Living Dead, which is a video nasty. Marching from the Burial Grounds is about the film Burial Grounds, which I think's a video nasty. This By the Cemetery, it's House by the Cemetery, which was another video nasty. The Beyond was a video nasty. Ferox was based on Cannibal Ferox, which is another video nasty. All actually, yeah.
A lot of them, it sounds like, or
My
yeah.
entire first album,
Is
all
all
but 2
video.
songs were based on video nasties. I just realised that. Fuck.
Huh.
As for the new album, not sure how many of them are video nasties. I think 2 or 3 might be. But the next album is called Audio Nasties, which is going to be 12 songs about 12 songs based on 12 of the most important video nasties to me.
Okay.
And extra to that is going to be the Hacksaw Live album.
So I guess just to kind of get just to get some more insight, like what about the video nasties to you what is so important for you to write music about it? Is like writing songs about it a way for you to kind of like harken back to the past and like kind of remember?
It's sort of like I collect like horror movies on VHS on top
Right.
of DVD. Like I'm a fucking slave to the time I didn't live in. But I sort of look at other bands like Sleep,
Yeah.
who every song harkens back to weed being
Sure.
this fucking omnipotent godly
Sure.
being. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. That's your thing. So I look at horror movies and think all my songs have been about horror movies. They're based on horror movies. They're such a... When I'm high, I want to watch a horror movie. When I'm drunk, I want to watch a horror movie. When I'm fine, I want to watch a fucking horror movie.
Right.
So I look at what is the most culturally important moment horror movies have had. And I feel Video Nasties was the biggest one that they've had. And I think looking at the way censorship's dealt with now, it's probably going to be the biggest they ever do. Because you have horror films now like Killing of the Sacred Deer.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've heard some interesting things about that.
Grand, I loved it. And horror's such a mainstream thing now again.
Yeah.
Whereas it was a really underground cultish thing in the 70s and 80s.
Sure. Yeah.
So I look at the 70s and 80s era of horror movies and think, I'm not gonna if I'm doing a live gig, I'm not gonna be like, this song's about Insidious 2. That'd
be fucking hilarious, though. That would be like a game changer.
It'd be funny.
Right.
People would be like, what the fuck is he on about? That's new.
Yeah.
So I look at this cult underground era of horror movies and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna write cult underground music, it's got to be about cult underground horror movies.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Whenever I watch one of the Video Nasties, because in Britain, any film in America the films are just released like normal, but in Britain they're plastered and previously banned. You're the film you're not meant to see and all that pish. Yeah. They make it out to be like these things are like fucking. You're not meant to be watching them. If they make it out like they were because they were banned, you weren't supposed to be watching them. If you were found distributing them after the ban, you could be put in jail. Like that's
that's just crazy to me. Yeah, just that thought process. Yeah, yeah.
So watching them, I still get a sort of that I'm not meant to be watching this sort of sense, and I really love it. Which is why those era of horror movies is my favourite. As well, there was no rules to horror at that point. There was no jump scares. There was no...
Yeah, that's a good point.
This guy dies first. This person makes it to the end.
Right, yeah.
Because... I don't know, you've probably seen Scream, and it makes fun of all the traditional horror tropes.
I really like the original Scream. I think that's a pretty great, on-point, very tongue-in-cheek film. I love that one.
It was really making fun of the state of horror at the time.
Yeah.
But... you look at like 70s and 80s horror movies, there was no state of horror. It was nuts because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was so much of its own thing that nothing could replicate it.
Sure.
Cannibal Holocaust was so much its own thing you couldn't replicate it. Zombie Flesh Eaters, which was technically... You know how Zombie Flesh Eaters was called Zombie 2?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's because, see, in Italy, Dawn of the Dead was released as Zombie. And the filmmakers wanted to cash in on it by making people think it was a sequel.
Oh.
And they were like, man, this is going to make us rich as fuck. And it didn't.
Yeah, that is interesting, though, that you bring that up, because I do love a lot of horror movies, and I'm definitely not as well-versed as you. Obviously, I pale in comparison. But when you said that, I did realize, because I recently, probably within the last few months, I think I watched The City of the Living Dead. That's the one with... What's the name of the city that pays homage to Lovecraft? What's it called? Is it
Dunwich?
Dunwich, right. And that's an interesting observation, because you said, to the effect of, the tropes nowadays, you're like, you're expecting somebody to survive. But when I watched that movie, most people I thought that were going to survive just got killed. And some of the more crucial characters died halfway through. And I was like, whoa, that was unexpected. And they all kind of died in the same way, which I thought was kind of funny. But, it still kind of turned it on its head for me. And I was like, I wasn't expecting half... or
you watch a horror film nowadays, I'm trying to think of a film from comparison, A Quiet Place. Actually, I wouldn't use that because that actually did suck. I quite liked it. I didn't expect some of the stuff to happen that did happen. But if you look at, fucking Conjuring 3, naturally it's in Conjuring, Insidious 4, rather. Insidious 4, you look at that, and going into the film, I looked at it and went, he's gonna live, she's gonna die, she's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it kind of makes it boring, right? Or it's
it's so predictable, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, there's nothing edgy about this. There's nothing forbidden. There's nothing you shouldn't be doing this about this. It's just sitting down and having a giggle, which is is good if it's its own thing. But looking back at, like, as you said, City of the Living Dead, like,
Yeah.
it's hard to even pinpoint a main character in it.
No, you really can't. Like, you think you know the main characters, and then, like, halfway through, you're like, oh, shit, the person I thought was going to be the purveyor is dead. Like, they just... And,
They're gone.
yeah.
And then the film ends, and there's a character who's still alive who was introduced at, like, the 50-minute mark or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe they just weren't... Yeah, maybe they were just more trying to just tell, like, a weird or trying to find a way to get, like, some gross out effects, and then they're like, fuck, who cares what the characters, like, who survives? It's like, it's just what...
They're coming to these films to see blood, guts, and cunts dying, so we'll develop some people, and because a lot of that came from, like, Psycho killed the lead actress.
Yeah.
30 minutes in.
Yeah, that was a pretty big subversion. When I watched it, I was like, oh shit, I didn't... Yeah, it was crazy.
And then you have films like Pieces that are like, we'll not have a main actress, we'll just have a bunch of unknowns, so we're not going to go to your expectations or subvert your expectations because you have no fucking clue who's going to die.
Right.
It could be anyone. And then you have stuff like Friday the 13th, the first one, that took its main character and killed it, like its main star, and killed them.
Yeah.
It had Kevin Bacon in it and done them in.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Tons of other films. Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't have a single recognisable actor or actress in it, so that you had no idea what was going to happen.
What would you say, I guess, like, looking to the past, since you're just, like, such an aficionado with this stuff, like, what's one or two of your favorite films based, like if you were to ground it on, like, you know, you watch it and you were just, like, completely, like, blown away or surprised by all the unexpected turns it took? Like, what are some of those films for you?
One of them would be a film called Burial Ground, which I watch a lot.
Really?
Because,
okay.
Yeah, they have... It's a certain sort of... If you watch Zombie Flesh Eaters and if you watch Burial Grounds, you'll get what I mean by Italian-looking zombies.
Okay.
The Italian zombie movies always have a way of making the zombies... Because America, like Dawn of the Dead, it was people painted grey with fake blood.
Right, yeah.
And if you get the film on Blu-ray, the grey paint just becomes more obvious that they weren't all grey.
Yeah.
Some of them they used blue because they ran out of grey paint. But you watch like Zombie Flesh Eaters or Burial Grounds or even City of the Living Dead. Like, you know how the scene where the woman's sitting in the car and the guts are coming out her mouth?
Yeah, that was nuts. Those were some gnarly practical effects, and I was like, "Wow, that!" Like, I was getting grossed out, and I was like, "Man, how old is this movie?"
Gnarly as shit.
Yeah.
When the Italians looked at special effects, like Lucio Fulci, who directed a lot of the Italian zombie movies, looked at zombies in Western movies and went, "We can do better than that."
Sure.
So the zombies in it have maggots crawling out their eyes and guts spill out their stomach, and the skin's all clinging
like
to
they've
them.
actually been getting eaten under the earth. Rotted. Yeah,
they've actually rotted. So in Burial Grounds, it really subverted my expectations as well. Spoiler to anyone who hasn't seen Burial Grounds, by the way. There's a scene in it. There's so many scenes in it that are just like, what the fuck? Because you're watching it and the film starts just weirdly. Like, it starts with people going off to like a holiday home, and then there's people having sex, and then the couple's kid walks in on them, but he's not a kid. He's clearly not a child. He's clearly a very small actor, which just makes you feel weird, because you're like, what are you doing? Stop calling her mama, because you're like 28, mate, stop.
Wow.
So that the entire setup to the whole zombies coming in is so strange. Like, the film already it's a bit like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It sets up as then this film's weird. You don't know what's going to happen. Prepare.
Right.
So when the zombies show up, they just show up. There's no build up.
It's not like you see. Yeah, it's not like you're like at a burial ground or like at a graveyard and you can like see the earth moving or something like that. It's just like they just are there. At
the start of the film, they actually added in a scene when the film was done, showing the zombies coming out of a crypt to kill some random guy after he read a scroll and went, "It's coming true," and it's never explained in the rest of the film. The zombies just came back to life for some reason.
Well, sometimes I kind of have some respect for that, where you don't always maybe need everything just spelled out for you in exposition or something. I mean, that just makes films so many films nowadays, or I mean, a lot of films are like they're kind of marred by
the
just
numbers.
yeah, and it's just like, oh, characters have dialogue to explain stuff, so it's like they're just kind of telling you information. They're not showing you information. Like you're just absorbing it by listening, and it doesn't stick with you that way. It doesn't like leave a lasting impression. Usually, in my opinion,
Is a weird thing that it does as well by not explaining why the zombies have came back in the film is no one in the film, past the guy you see die before it explains it, knows zombies are a thing. So to have a character show up and be like, I've found out why they've came back to life, would be weird. It would be out of place in the film, out of place things.
Right.
So throughout the film, it's really Night of the Living Dead-y. Like, they lock themselves in the building, they're trying to fend off the zombies, but they're not like like Dawn of the Dead, or there's hundreds of them. It's like 12 zombies that have risen from a crypt. They're actually on the album art of Gore-Soaked Abattoir.
Okay.
But they're coming back, and they're coming for the people, and it's not explained why. Because it doesn't need to be explained.
No, it doesn't need to. Yeah, it's like oh, they open the gate of hell, and they have to align the 3 pentagrams or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
It's like, in Sight of the Living Dead, it starts off, and it's just a seance, and it's like, there's a gate to hell opening in this town. Fuck. And they go there, and they're like, see, there's no gate to hell, and then there is a gate to hell, so they're like, oh, fuck, what do we do?
Yep. Well, I guess, so then, just since we're on the topic, and since you love this stuff so much, are there any, more recent horror films that you appreciate, or something like, some stuff that you've seen recently, like maybe like the last 5 years or decade, where you're just like, oh yeah, that shit's like.
There's recently, I think it was, can't remember what year, but it was definitely in the late 2000s. There was a film called Pontypool.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. I was really surprised by the premise of that. That was pretty neat.
That film, I loved that film. I dug the fuck out of that film. It was so good.
Yeah.
That really subverted my expectation, because I was like, zombies from the English language? Okay, cool.
Right. And it was cool because it was such a self-contained film. Like, it never really left the confines of that recording studio they were in, or like that news station or whatever you call it. I'm so bad.
We saw them driving down a highway, and we saw the outline of a door, and that was the most we got outside of that recording station, which I loved. Another film recently that I really loved, Autopsy of Jane Doe. I don't know if you've seen that, but that was...
I've not heard of that one.
I really dug that film.
Is it like a schlocky, or is it...
No, it's really, really atmospheric.
Huh. Okay.
Amazingly atmospheric.
Interesting.
That's one thing I think horror's lost nowadays, is schlock. I've not done it good in years.
Yeah, I mean, is that would you say that's a good thing or a bad thing, or are you kind of indifferent to that? Because sometimes schlock, I can get behind it, but I'm not like huge. Like, I can't watch it back to back to back.
I'm strangely sort of numb on it, because older films weren't trying to be schlocky; they just natively were.
I see.
So for modern films to go out of their way to be schlocky, they're going out of their way. You can tell when they're doing it to sort of harken back to an older style.
Right, and they kind of lose that ingenuity, or they don't really have that, like, that lightning in a bottle feel, like, kind of like that. Yeah, I get you.
But, definitely, Autopsy of Jane Doe recently was really good. Ravage, which was a zombie film on Netflix, which I really liked as well.
Ravage? Okay.
Ravage.
Okay.
It was a zombie film.
Okay.
It was basically zombies are like parrots.
Huh.
You know how in Dawn of the Dead, they're like, the zombies keep coming back to the mall because they're used to here?
Yeah.
It's basically if zombies, instead of doing what they were used to, replicated things like a parrot does. They don't know what they're doing, they're just doing an action because they see other things doing it.
Oh, interesting.
Which is, it's really cool to watch.
Interesting. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. And that's on Netflix, huh? I can't believe I missed that one.
But for modern films that's really subverted my expectations, it would be a lot more independent stuff. There's not been anything mainstream that's really made me go, oh wow, in a while.
Do you have some, like another one or two in that vein, though, you'd say?
Cure for Wellness, actually. Cure for Wellness was a modern film.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
AAA.
I've heard
Modern
some mixed
AAA.
things. Yeah, I've heard some mixed things about that one. I think some people have like talked
Really
a lot of
is.
shit, but some people seem to laud it as well. So it's
Yeah, I quite liked it. It could have ended 28 times odds before it actually does.
sure.
But the ending when you get to it is so fucking worth it, man. It's amazing.
Okay, that's good to know.
It Comes at Night, actually. Really loved It Comes at Night as well.
I think I remember some people talk shit about it because it was a little mismarketed. I remember the
Yeah,
trailer.
it really was.
But I watched
The
that
trailer
and-
made it feel like A Quiet Place to me.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And when I watched that movie, the end of it, I was like almost heartbroken for like those
Yeah,
couple
I was
minutes. I was like, holy shit.
That is how a modern film should subvert your expectations. Because
Yes.
you look at it and you think they two are not going to die because they don't die in any other film.
Yes.
And then it's just, fuck you, they're gone.
Yeah,
It's
no,
fucking
and kind of going back to that kind of that Pontypool. What I liked about it is like it was such a, it was like the world felt huge, but it was so self-contained because it was like in one house essentially. And I
Yeah.
kind of like it's like there's a lot more going on, but you
Yeah.
only know what these people know, and it kind of makes it more immersive in this really interesting way.
It's sort of like a day in the life of radio DJs in the apocalypse, sort of.
Yeah. No, it's
Any other film? The Witch, as well, was a
The
recent
Witch is
film
great.
that
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, that is Black Metal the movie. I think The Witch is Black Metal the movie. The Ritual
funny.
as well is a more mainstream film that I really liked
which
because
one?
it's like The Ritual.
Okay, yeah, that
It's,
one I was a little lukewarm on that one.
I loved the monster design.
That was awesome.
And the monster design was cool as shit. And that was the atmosphere of that building up to the monster. When the monster showed up, I was like, oh fuck, is this a monster movie? I thought this was going to be The Witch too.
Right,
basically.
right.
So it subverted my expectations in sort of a negative, but at the same time positive way. Because
Yeah.
after that point, I was like, right, it's a monster movie. I can enjoy it as a monster movie.
Yeah, no,
Whereas before,
yeah.
I thought it was going to be like The Witch, and I was like, if this is doing the same kind of thing The Witch tried to do, it's not doing it as well. But there is a fair share of modern films that did exceed my expectations, but none of them were really big AAA blockbuster movies. They were always little like A24 produced little productions.
A24, I never really
They're
knew much
killing it,
about
man.
them. Yeah, I've never really gotten into them, and as I've been seeing more and more of their trailers, I'm like, man, they seem to be churning out some quality, like, indie, or, like, just, like, some really cool shit. It's pretty surprising.
Like they made It Comes at Night, I'm sure.
I think so,
produced it.
yeah, you're right. You're right about that, yep.
They
Yep.
produced the Green Room as well, which I really liked.
I love that movie so much.
It was so good. Tusk as well they produced, which
I
is another...
haven't seen that one.
I don't want to ruin any of it because it will subvert your expectations.
Okay,
I'll say that
okay.
much.
I'll have to see that.
It's really good. There's a strain of weed as well. It's named after it, which is always fun to know in America, where you can buy it in a shop, whereas in Britain I need to buy it off the guy down the road.
That's pretty funny.
But modern horror, I think independently, it's killing it.
Yeah.
Independent films are really fucking holding the bench high still for it.
Yeah.
AAA is kind of falling behind, but they're getting better. Like the new Halloween, I'm looking forward to.
Well, I guess before, just wrapping things up, I've been keeping you long enough just for this conversation. What are you seeing for your project for Hacksaw going forward, I guess, over the next, 7 months or so that remain in 2018? Like, what are your ambitions, or what are your goals?
My Hacksaw goals, definitely, number one is get a live setup going. Get live gigs going, get a live album recorded.
Do you think that there'll be a scene in Glasgow for that? You think some people would really dig that? that
definitely.
tone?
There's a
Okay.
band locally called Gendo Ikari, who are a really fast grind project, and
Oh,
they're
really?
amazing.
Okay.
There's a band from down in England who do a lot of gigs in Scotland called Chin Sniffer.
Chin
And-
sniffer.
Chin Sniffer. I'll need to send you them. You'll need to link them in the video, I think, because I saw them live
Yeah.
And me and my friend have never laughed harder at a
Really?
gig. They're a noise band, and me and my friend were fucking pissed, stoned as anything, nearly blacking out laughing. It was an
Really?
emotional event. I hugged 2 members of the band after it because I was in such a state. It was amazing.
That's great. That sounds hilarious.
But
Okay.
the scene in Glasgow is definitely open to it, I think.
Sweet. Okay.
So I'd be looking to make some headroom with that. I'd love to record a live set to put on the extras of Audio Nasties.
Right.
Other things, I would look. Hopefully, I could get Audio Nasties finished,
Yeah.
the 12 songs, because in my head I was cheating. I was like, "Yo, just take the songs you've already written about Audio Nasties and add a few more and compile them." And I was like, "No, I need to write new ones." So that's going to be a big project, try to write all songs for all the Video Nasties.
Right.
That's going to be beefy.
Right.
But so that'll take me more than 7 months. I think it'll take me till I'm dead to
Right.
get that
Yeah,
whole
but you know,
project finished.
at least it gives you something to perpetually think
Yeah.
about and mull over and work on, right?
I'm going to take them one album at a time, I think, before I get
Sure.
them all done.
Sure, that makes sense.
Other things I'm thinking of working on. Weird idea. I was thinking of doing a commentaries album,
Okay.
which I'm hoping to get done by the end of the year, which is going to be like commentaries for a select few Video Nasties.
But like doing like commentary tracks for the films. Oh,
Like
interesting.
me and my friends sitting smashed talking shit about them.
Yeah,
from
no,
the
that's
perspective of
yeah, definitely. That sounds awesome.
Hacksaw, and maybe adding them in as an extra to an album.
Yeah. No,
I was
that
thinking
sounds
would be pretty
great.
cool.
Definitely.
As for other stuff, I'm thinking just sort of getting my sort of skills that I've learned from Hacksaw out there. I found a couple of gigs for mixing and mastering live for some local bands,
Oh, nice. Okay.
which would be a good learning experience for Hacksaw and for making money,
Right.
obviously. As for future inhibitions, there's not really anything else I can think of other than getting live set down, next album down,
Right.
and just keep on improving it as far as I can go.
Sure. Oh, that sounds great, man.
Mm.
Well, I very much appreciate you taking time to talk with me and talking my ear off about horror movies. It sounds like I have I have a lot of digging to do.
Not a problem, man.
end.